A's talk. What's up, everybody? A's news. Remember the A's? They won tonight.
Team that won
was fun.
tonight.
Yeah, look at that. Cheers to that.
Updated standings, Julio. We are 3.5 games behind the Toronto Blue Jays for the second wildcard spot.
They're in the second wildcard spot now?
The Yankees won today. They're in the first wildcard spot.
And then Boston is in the tied?
Is tied with Toronto, but Toronto has won the inner series. Does that make sense?
See, so by our logic, all three of those teams should be in, and the A's are going to be the ones who are going to be fighting for that.
Well, based on baseball rules, they don't do like backup scenarios. So if Toronto and Boston end the series even record, there's an additional playoff game. There's no elimination game.
Oh no,
that.
I'm sorry.
Remember Toronto and the Rangers did that in 2012, and the Rangers lost that game. Or not Toronto. The Rays and the Rangers had played in that game, and David Price whooped that ass.
No, I'm sorry. I meant to say if we had a 6-team playoff.
Oh, we'd be in, yeah.
Yeah. Or no, we wouldn't be. We still wouldn't be in. But like we would.
Yeah, we would. Oh no, we wouldn't.
Yeah. Right. Anyways, yeah.
We had an 18 playoff, we would, and then Seattle would get to the playoffs for the first time in 25 years. But anyway, 20 years.
Guess what? We DFA'd another reliever. That's right. Bad Birch alert. No more. Birch Smith was DFA'd. He may still end up on this team at the end of it all. We shall see.
For those of you who are not big baseball followers, designated for assignment means that they kind of released him but haven't yet.
Yeah, and that if nobody claims the player within 7 to 10 days or something like that, then said player will return back to the team's minor league system. With that being said, they called up Domingo Acevedo, who was previously in Las Vegas. He's been pitching pretty well of late, but I just want to take this moment. I'm going to move this I'll delete this part of our show notes. This is a massive I told you so. We talked about this at the trade deadline. We're going to jump on our high horses one more time about this. We absolutely loved every single move. Just the one thing we were both in pretty big agreement with was like, we would have been better off with another arm. And what's happened since then, JP Wendelken's been DFA'd. I think Jordan Williams was DFA'd before the trade deadline. Yeah, but now Birch Smith's DFA'd. That's a third different reliever DFA'd in the last few months. And you could have avoided that whole situation if you just could have literally shipped out somebody in Midland, Texas to go get another reliever. Yeah. And there was opportunities where Sean Doolittle would have been available on the DFA market. Brad Hand would have been available on the DFA market. But instead, you didn't make that move. You decided to stick with what you had, and AJ Puck kind of blew up in our faces as a reliever, and now he's back in Vegas. So it's like, it's kind of the reputation. I don't know if this is I don't know whose fault this is. I don't want to point any fingers in any wrong direction, but I know a lot of fans will say like Bomel isn't the best when it comes to bullpen management. And I don't know how much of a say he has when it comes to personnel decisions, but it's like, dude, this might be a part of it, because it's just like, we're at this point where I tweeted the GIF from This Is the End when there's like when the apocalypse happened, there's a huge crack in the concrete wall and Seth Rogen just puts duct tape over it. I'm like, this is just them trying to fix their bullpen right now. When it's like, you could have avoided all that, man. You could have just forked up and picked up some veteran who would have been available like for a minimum price. And you could have helped a little bit
and can contribute. In the A's defense at that time at the deadline, our bullpen was pretty successful. We had never given up a lead after 8 innings, which is like a very unique and very specific and very favorable stat to say. But that hasn't been the case the past month and a half. So maybe some veterans who have been in the dog days of summer and have fought off to make it to the playoffs could have been helpful in that situation. Like our most reliable reliever in the past month has been Sergio Romo, and he's even had some bad moments in the past week. So you can tell these guys are overworked. So it's domino effect. These guys are overworked, but they're just not picking up the slack. I mean, Diekman and who's before him? They're all just blending into one, dude. All these games.
Trevino was before Diekman. Trevino actually had a solid outing.
Yeah,
tonight.
He had a solid outing. That's true. But Diekman gave up all these runs, and then Chafin does. Yeah, dude. Even just one more guy would have been nice at the deadline, or these waiver moves. It's just what I think what's most upsetting about this particular DFA is like Birch Smith was like our best reliever until he got hurt last year. Like, what the fuck happened to him? I remember looking at that being like, wow, that was such a great pickup that we made for the Giants. Like, yeah, I mean, just what? And then like, remember in the offseason when they made that trade with the Dodgers for
Adam Kolarek?
Like, what the fuck happened to him, man? Like, what is the scouting department like doing wrong this past year where they're not seeing what like they should be seeing with these relievers? You know? Because they're the ones advising the front office to be like, hey, make this move for Kolarek because he looks really good and I think we can get him at a low price.
I don't know. And if in our defense, or too, like Sheldon Noisy hasn't done anything with the Dodgers. So that's good to see. But it just, in retrospective, what this bullpen was really good at was not going to be a sustainable model, which is like you're pretty much relying on precision and like deception with your pitches. Because like who's the hardest? Lou throws the hardest out of all these guys, or Lou and Diekman throws the hardest. Diekman, we kind of knew he was going to regress from last year because he was just so freaking good last season. There's no way this guy's going to replicate it in a full season, and he hasn't, unfortunately. And then Lou, look, I understand the hate over the last few weeks, and I think we're both big enough fans of this guy where it's like, hey, I still think he can do it. Mm-hmm. I still think I don't
want him to be the closer, but yeah, I think he can be a good bullpen pitcher.
Yeah. And he proved it tonight. He went 2 innings, he gave up a run, but he gave up 3 hits, and there was kind of some funky stuff that was going on in the field too, that kind of led to that run.
Yeah.
But it's just like I don't know what they think is kind of a sustainable way of building a great bullpen, because it's like the guys who threw the hardest are gone. It's like Jordan Weems was whatever, but that was somebody who you knew could come out and throw some velo out there. And then AJ or JP Wendelken has some velo behind him that didn't really help. AJ Puck had velo, but guess what? He still can't control him. We got to send it back down.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what to do at this point. I don't know. I hope that Domingo pitching and well in Vegas as a reliever is going to be what this team needs, because we know how offensive driven that league is. But who knows, man? Fingers crossed.
I will say maybe it has something to do with what Scott Emerson's like scouting reports and strategy has been, but we know that Scott Emerson is an amazing pitching coach. So like something has completely fallen off the rails. We've seen him turn guys like Cole Irvin into these like very productive pitchers, and then when they leave the A's, they're not productive. So he gets the best out of guys. I don't know what the situation exactly is going on right now, but yeah, I mean, I just felt like that was something that needed to be brought up, that there's definitely something going on with it. But one bright side, Dalton Jeffries has looked very promising every time he's come out. I think he's come in really tough situations, and he's defended off what he can. And he went like 4 days ago, I think it was. Off the top of my head, I don't really know, but he went like good for like 3 strong innings, and then he gave it up and like lost the lead. But because someone else gave it up. But there's a few guys that there are some promise to. You're gonna say something about him?
Speaking of some guy, no, I was just trying to make sure you didn't blow my cover of what I was going to talk about a little bit later. But Let's go and celebrate our guy TK. Tony Kemp is this year's nomination for the Roberto Clemente Award. And
no A's fan should be surprised.
Yeah, Tony Kemp has just been one. Tony Kemp's been a massive surprise this year, and as a whole. I think after what we kind of saw last year, we were like ready to throw him over, but he's been pretty outstanding for what you've really needed from him.
I wasn't ready to throw him over, but I was, wasn't ready to give him a starting position at second base. Now I am.
So he's the A's nominee for the Roberto Clemente Award, which recognizes a major league player who best represents the game of baseball through extraordinary character, community involvement, philanthropy, positive contributions, both on the field and in the community. For those of you who, I don't know, do we really need to explain who Roberto Clemente is? I really hope we don't have to, but
I don't think we have enough time.
Okay. Anyways,
then we have to go into his all accident and everything like that. Like, let's just not do that. If you want to know who Roberto Clemente is, go look him up. He's one of the most philanthropic professional athletes, if not the most, of all time.
One of the best outfielders ever. Absolute cannon. Well. I did a book report on him when I was like in middle school.
He's like a 14-time All-Star.
Yeah, he has they said it during the broadcast or the radio broadcast. He has the most All-Star appearances for an outfielder. Him and Willie Mays.
Yeah.
So that shows you. But why is he nominated? If you haven't seen, Tony established the +1 effect campaign. I'm reading off the monitor, so if you're watching on YouTube, I apologize. Which encourages constructive conversations about race, systematic racism, and his own life experiences. And the great thing about what I really love about like Tony Kemp is this isn't just a thing that you see his teammates now in Oakland are supporting. Throughout the last couple seasons, you've seen a lot of guys around baseball who have been friends with him and who have connected with him support him, will wear the +1 effect t-shirt. I remember last year seeing like Alex Bregman was wearing it because he was in Houston for a time being. And honestly, kudos, man. You couldn't have picked a better person. I've really, for lack of better words, I've really fallen in love with this guy for everything he represents. And he really is just a fantastic representation of the city of Oakland. And proud of you, man. Congratulations. Hopefully you can get a win, which I guess you have to vote, which is stupid, but whatever.
Spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about him later.
Love it. Fucking love it.
Anyway, moving on.
Right.
Matt Chapman has been out for a couple days. Nothing crazy. It's minor injury, a little bit nagging. He should be available again against the Angels this weekend. This is an interesting little story, which is worth noting. Bob Melvin recently made a comment that was covered in Chris Bierman's piece this week, saying that he thinks that Sean Murphy should be the clear number one catcher for the A's. He does not believe in pitchers having personal catchers or priority catchers. He didn't really comment too much on that, but the reason why this subject came up was because Frankie Montas is pitching very well with Yan Gomes behind plate catching him. In fact, he's been overwhelmingly successful in the past, 5+
since the All-Star break. He's got a sub-3 ERA since the All-Star break.
There's clearly some great chemistry that Yan has with him. And last start, which was yesterday, Montas took over, Sean Murphy took over, and Montas struggled a little bit in the third inning. So that was asked about. I'm gonna talk about this in the second half, Julio. This is gonna be one of my things. So I am gonna restrain a little bit, and I'll let you give your opinion.
So here's the numbers behind it. Montas has had 4 starts with Aramis Garcia. He had a 1.4 ERA, and the opposition had a 598 OPS. He's had 6 starts with Yan Gomes. He has a 1.86 ERA with the 542 OPS. He's had 18 starts with Sean Murphy, 4.66 ERA with the 737 OPS.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, and That for Bomel being, I think he's a relatively, at least his front office and how the front office works and how he kind of works this lineup is pretty progressive for most of the part when it comes to lineups and kind of like mixing and matching guys throughout the day and all that.
Yeah, this is pretty get progressive. Off my lawn opinion.
This is not a good look.
Yeah.
Because if you look at some of those dominant pitchers throughout the last 5-6 years and even before that, there's been guys who've like they've had their guys. With the Yankees right now, Garrett Cole is going to be, if he doesn't win Cy Young, he's going to be the runner-up to Cy Young. And every single start, he's going to have Kyle Higashioka out there with him. Clayton Kershaw during his prime years was AJ Ellis was behind the plate. Like, it doesn't matter. It's like if you have that battery tandem,
wasn't Lester's famously David Ross was famously just Lester's catcher.
Yeah. And then right now with the Padres, that Victor Caratini is Yu Darvish's catcher.
Yeah.
And that when Darvish was traded and they told him he was going to go to the Padres and they're building the groundworks, he pretty much said like, hey, if you're trading me, you got to trade Caratini with me because like, I'm not going to go without him kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's stupid. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that this is his mindset behind it.
We've seen it on the A's a lot too, though. Like, remember the year that Jesse Chavez had like an insane first half? Stephen Vogt was his personal catcher. Like, that was a whole thing. Like, so it's not like he's against this opinion. Like in the past, this is a really weird time to just really die on this hill.
Now, I wouldn't be shocked if this is just more of like there might be, I don't want to say it's a beef, but if it's just like how long have we been hyping up Sean Murphy? He finally comes in 2019. He had a pretty solid year last year. And we're like, no, this is our guy. Maybe it's a confidence thing that it's like, hey, we want to make sure he doesn't lose his job. But at the same time, you're the guys who fucking traded for Yan Gomes, who has caught, hey, that guy we just talked about who threw 3,000 strikeouts. Guess who's caught the 4th or 5th most strikeouts for him? They showed a graphic of it. Yan Gomes did. There's a reason why you traded for this guy because like he is a veteran. He knows how to play those big situations. Now I'm not saying like don't play Sean Murphy because like I think he's super valuable. I think he's actually pretty underrated throughout this season. We talked about this like a month or two ago or a few weeks back, where if you look like some of the advanced numbers, like Sean Murphy's like one of the best catchers in baseball. Like even if his offensive numbers don't show it, but it's like those numbers right there should show you like this pairing is not working. And if it's not working, then don't try it. So I'm hoping this is just the last time they did it, saying, all right, going forward, rest of the season, Frankie, your starts, you're with Jan. And if not, then, come on, Bomel, you know better than that.
On that note, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back. We're going to do a segment called Think Happy Thoughts. We're going to take some positives and Julio's going to do those jazz hands every single time. We're going to bring up some things that have been working and things that the A's should continue to do in order to keep having success and hopefully make it to the playoffs. So stick around and we'll be right back.